Hey, what's going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 4-game CSGO main slate on Tuesday. Before I get into the video, for you guys who are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking out NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports, daily fantasy sports sites, esports including Call of Duty, League of Legends, and this one, Counter-Strike CSGO. Also, just want to again say thank you guys for all of these support. We're at 3.4 thousand subscribers now on YouTube. So if you guys enjoy this content, if you'd leave a like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. Those things do help me out to continue to put out free content for you guys. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcast, it's just the DK DFS show. The link is in the description below. If you could take a couple seconds Saturday, leave a 5-star rating and review, that would also greatly be appreciated. Also, again, if you guys are interested in PGA content, I'm working on my spreadsheet right now. Going to have a video up for the tournament starting Thursday tomorrow. Again, working on that spreadsheet, so be on the lookout for that video tomorrow. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So before we get into players and the prices for Tuesday's slate, what we can do is we can look back at my lineup here from Monday's slate. So Monday went pretty good for me. Finished 37th out of, 284, I think, entries in this $33 tournament. Now, 282. We'll get to that in a sec, but playing this $33 tournament consistently, that's like all you play, it is not a good payout structure, right? I finished, 37th, again, out of 282, and didn't even double my money, $60, right? It was a $33 entry, so the payout structure in this one, again, it's not great. So you play this consistently, it is hard to make money, right? If that's all you play is just this $33 tournament. Usually 2K to first, sometimes we 1K to first, but yeah, not a very great payout structure if you're looking to consistently make money. But all right, yeah, let's go over my lineup here. So ZywOo in the captain spot. I knew he was gonna be chalky, right? I just figured he had the most upside of anyone on the slate. I wanted to get him in my captain spot. I did. 156 in the captain spot. I'll take that all day for ZywOo. So he had a really solid day. Paired him with RPK. It was him and Shox, the two guys I mentioned. If I could have got to Shox, which I actually could have, I could have played him over Valde there. It would have been a lot better day. I could have made a lot more money. But I paired RPK with ZywOo. He was okay, right? But Shox was really the one you wanted to pair with ZywOo, who was, again, those are the two I mentioned. And then I used tabseN and Xantrez. Xantrez actually had a subpar game for them, winning 2-0. He still wasn't bad, right, for 7.4K, 56 fancy points. But normally, more often than not, again, he was really popular. He's going to outperform that salary. And then those tabseN that had a big day for me, had 90 fancy points again in a 2-0 sweep. And then I went with the two guys from OG, with Valde and Issa. Both were okay, right? Issa a little bit better for his price, and he was, my favorite value play. 66.5 fancy points, Valde 55. So all in all, it was a good day, right? Finished pretty high in this tournament. So yeah, that's really the look back there of my lineup from Monday. Now what we can do is look at the odds here for these games. So the early game, North versus Heroic, not on this one, so you don't have to worry about that. We have NIP and Godsent. NIP minus 250 favorites. We have Ensign FaZe also minus 250 favorites. G2 and Movistar Riders, G2 minus 526 favorites. And then on the North America side here, we have 100 Thieves and Liquid minus 185 favorites. All right, let's start with the first game. Well, first, let me get to the slate. Also, not that's relevant, but we do have NBA Millionaire Maker. I did tweet about that when NBA comes back in about a month. So super excited about that. Probably we'll be doing live streams. I know the games kind of start earlier in the day though, so on work days it might be a little bit tough for me, but I'll definitely try to live stream whenever possible, whenever I can. All right, let's talk about it. So NIP and Godsent first game here on the NIP side. So again, I always kind of bring it up with this team, but the issue with targeting players on this team is they're a little bit more of a balanced team, right? Kind of besides Hampus, you have Plopsky. If you look at his numbers last stream in the months, 0.69 and 0.65. As far as kills per round, deaths per round, Knock 0.72 and 0.63. He's been playing the best recently. Rez at 0.68 and 0.67, and then Twist at 0.62 and 0.62. Hampus, it's still in play, right? 0.63 and 0.7, but not great numbers. So So the price points here, Plopsky and Knock are normally the two guys I look to the most. When you got Knock at $400 difference discount off Plopsky, I'm going to take that, right? I think for that reason alone, Knock's probably going to be the most popular play on this team. But he looks like the ideal play, in my opinion. And then with Rez and Twist, Rez at 7.2, Twist at 7K. That's almost a toss-up for me. Again, I would much prefer getting to Knock over those two guys. But if you didn't want to get up to Plopsy and wanted to save a little bit of money and pair Knock with either Rez or Twist, again, that one's really a coin flip for me. Hampus at 4.6, I think is in play, right? Because NIP are favorites here, right? Minus 250, so there's a decent chance they could win 2-0 if you're just focusing on the odds. Hampus, again, not a guy that has enormous upside, but at 4.6K, if you get that 2-0 sweep, the plus 20, he's probably going to pay off for you. So I think he's in play if you think they win 2-0. But yeah, that's really my thoughts on NIP. Again, kind of a tougher team to break down because they're normally all priced about the same and just getting a balanced team. So that's the tricky part about them. On the Godsent side, I really wish they didn't raise Farlig's price up this much because I really wanted to play him on this one. 9.6K, that's just a contrarian GPP option now at this point. If he was like 8K range, I would like him a good amount, even below that. But 9.6, it's hard to really make an argument for him. Again, cash games, you avoid him for sure. But I think, again, he's still in play for GPPs because that price alone will just make him even more low on, right? He was already going to be low on because they're underdogs, but now he's overpriced. Now he's going to be super low owned. Now, again, the reason why I still think he's in play for GPPs is because when he's playing well, he has that potential to put up 90, 100 fancy points, right? So if Godsent's winning, it's probably most likely going to be because of Farlig, and if they can win easily, right? If they can win a 2-0 game, you could see Farlig put up 90, 100 fancy points. So that's why I think he's still in play for GPPs, but definitely not a cash game play. And even in GPPs, right, I don't think he's even a single entry play. I think he's just a multiple lineup. If you're making like 10 lineups, I'd probably play him in one, right? So very, very contrarian play. Still like his upside, but it's tough for me to recommend him over some other guys at his price. Now, Crystal's at 4.4 is a complete stay away. He has not good numbers at all. They're underdogs. Terrible numbers, actually. I think the worst in the slate. 0.5 kills per round, 0.71 deaths per round. Not good. But the good thing about that is the other players in the team have to do a little bit more. So Sticko, however you pronounce his name, Zen, and Madden, I think are all in play. All above 1.0 KDs for the last few months. Madden 7K, Zen 6.6, Sticko 6.4, Sticko. I think they're okay, right? And these are guys that are just going to go low on the slate because what people do is people look at the odds and they just play the favorites. So, these guys, I still think Godsent could win this one. I think those three, kind of in that mid-tier to value range, are definitely viable. And now let's talk about Movistar Riders and G2. So again, we have G2, the biggest favorites of the day at minus 526. Yeah, I don't know. G2, I know they're just such an inconsistent team. I don't agree with those odds necessarily. Now, if G2 was underdogs playing against a really good team, so say like it was about a month ago when Astralis was still together, normal core, and they were playing G2. And Astralis were huge favorites, and I was like, I kind of like G2 here because when they're playing really well, they have the potential to beat the best teams in the world. But when they're off their game, they can lose to anyone. So that's why it's tough for me to really fully recommend them with confidence. G2, they kind of remind me of like a Na'Vi, right? They can beat really good teams, they can look really good, but they can also be really bad against like bad teams too. So yeah, those odds, I still like G2 to win, but I don't know if they should be that big of favorites because they're a very, again, kind of inconsistent team. They choke games. I think they're the team that chokes the most games. If you all guys watch a lot of CSGO, they're kind of limping in this one, right? Lost 3 of the last 4, got 0-2 against Godsent, who is, not the best team, and then lost 0-2 against Fnatic too. So they're a little bit limping in this one. Movistar Riders, a little bit of the same, right? They've won some games, but again, not against the best teams. So, again, I think G2 should be favorites, but I still think there's a chance. Hold on one sec. Sorry about that, guys. I got a phone call. But yeah, so like I said, I think G2 should be favorites, but they're a really tough team to trust. Let's talk about the G2 side first. So we have Kenny S 8.8, Hunter 8.6, Nexa 8.2K. I think all look pretty decent for the prices. I think DraftKings did a pretty good job pricing them up. Right, no, sometimes we've seen those top three guys in like the mid 7K range, but now they're priced accordingly. All three are pretty similar. It's always ownership wise though, Hunter's always gonna be the highest owner of the three, and it kind of sucks as he's always my favorite play, but he always seems to be the highest owned. If you scroll through just those three guys and their numbers, right? So if Kenny has 0.68 kills per round, 0.63 deaths per round, Nexa 0.69 and 0.66, then Hunter 0.74 and 0.68. So again, Hunter is kind of the more aggressive player. He's the one initiating the gunfights. Kenny has to use the AWP. He can make those clutches. Whereas Nexa is kind of the in-between guy, but can have those big games. So he's had games where he's definitely carried this roster as well. So with them, those three again being similar plays, being pretty similar in prices, I think it's almost a toss-up. I think, ownership-wise, it's probably going to go Hunter 1 and then Kenny S Nexa. But I think you can make an argument for Nexa to save a little bit of money if you want. If you just want to pick one of those top three guys, I'm okay getting to Nexa over Kenny S and Hunter. So it's really kind of what works with roster construction purposes. If you have a little extra money left over, maybe you want to spend up for either Hunter or Kenny S, or if you need to save a little bit of money, you could use Nexa. I think you can run two of those three if you want to, too. If you want to go like a full G2 stack, since they are big favorites, right? You could do like a 3-man stack, maybe two of those top guys and one of the bottom two for value, right? I think that's a viable build, too. Jax at 7K. Now you're getting a little bit of separation there with those top three guys. So not the best numbers, right? 0.65 kills per round, 0.68 deaths per round, but he's also had games where he's looked really good on this G2 team. So I think he's viable, but I personally would rather get to Amanek and save a little bit more money, right? Similar numbers, right? Jax is a guy that's in a little bit more gunfights, but they're pretty similar numbers-wise. Amanek, about $1,000 difference, are at 6.2K. So I like the G2 roster a good amount. I think you can make an argument for anyone, kind of like I mentioned for Big yesterday, or I guess today. It's kind of how I feel about G2. I think all five are viable, and it depends on roster construction purposes, right? I think a popular build for tomorrow is probably going to be at least two G2 guys. I think you could run a full 3 G2 stack if you wanted to. But again, this team, I got to warn you, they're very inconsistent. So I think there's still a chance Movistar Riders could pull off this upset. So you can never feel really too confident about G2. On the Movistar Riders side, I think there's probably only one guy I would have interest in. That's Alex at 7.6K. But I mean, he's in that contrarian option range of cash in viable, no way, GPP viable. Yeah. But still, even so, I don't know if I'll get to him. Now, sure, right? If Movistar Riders comes and mops the 4G2 and they win 2-0, you're probably going to see an enormous game from Alex. So I think he's a viable GPP pivot. The other options on the team, it'd probably be Lowell next, since he has he's the only other guy that is positive KD-wise for the last 3 months. And he is, I believe, the second cheapest. Yeah, at 6K. So it probably would be Lowell. But I don't think I would go crazy with my Movistar Riders exposure. I think you could run a 2-man stack. It probably would be those two guys, Alex and Lowell, if you want to get different, right? Because everyone's going to play G2. They're the biggest hitters of the day. I think you can still use one of those guys as a one-off if you wanted to, right? Maybe you think G2 could get upset, so you just want to use like one as a one-off and just you only play one guy from this game. I think that's okay too. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that second game. So now let's talk about FaZe and ENCE. This one's sitting at minus 250 favorites for FaZe. I don't know. Both teams have really limped into this one. Both teams have lost 4 of the last 5 games. Some against not the best teams. FaZe is winning the head-to-head series 4-2. But yeah, I don't know. Again, with both teams playing so bad, I feel like the odds should be a little bit closer. Now, again, historically, FaZe probably is the better team, but both not in the best form. Let's talk about the FaZe side first. You have NiKo at 10.2K. That's a little bit tricky. Normally, I'm a guy that, like, when FaZe is on the slate in their favorites, I try to jam in NiKo. But when he's at 10.2, like at a ZywOo price point, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to I don't know if I'm going to try to jam him in today. Now, again, I still think he is in play. I think that price will lower the ownership, which is always good, right? When you can get a lower owned Nico, that's always a good thing because this guy has enormous upside. We know he can put up 100 easily. He's done it a lot of times recently. So, and there are favorites. So I think Nico is a good play, but you're probably going to have to overpay for him a little bit. Now, if you're comfortable with value plays, yeah, get Nico in there, right? I think he has a very, very high floor, obviously. He's one of the better Counter-Strike players in the world right now. With Brokey and coldzera, Brokey at 7.4, Cold at 7.2K. Both are pretty similar plays. Again, they're pretty similar prices. Brokey 0.66, kills round 0.57, death round. Using the AWP, he's looked pretty good. coldzera hasn't been the best recently. His numbers kind of dropping a little bit, 0.69 and 0.63 as far as kills per round, deaths per round. So with those two, I usually prefer Cold, but it seems like Brokey's been outperforming him recently. That one's, I think, a coin flip for me. I really do. I think you can play both. If you wanted to go a phase stack, maybe don't go Nico, but maybe just go Brokey and Cold. I think that's a viable strategy. Right? I don't think if you play phase, I don't think you have to play Nico because of his price. Rain at 6.8, for me, it doesn't make sense to get to him. I would much prefer getting to Cold and Brokey for a little bit more. Now, can Rain outperform those guys? Sure, we've seen Rain put up big games, but looking at the price and looking at the numbers, I would just prefer getting to Brokey and Cold for a little bit more. Now, BMez is a very frustrating DFS player because he can be good, right? He's had games where he's carried this team. He also has a super, super low floor. So hard to trust in cash games. I think he's a GPP viable play. But yeah, if you just look at some of these scores, 33 and 49 and 19 and 40 is most recent games. But before that, 45 and 30, 51 45, right? So a very up and down player. But when he's playing well, he can definitely outperform that salary. Now let's talk about the end side. So if we look just in this game, right? If we just look at FaZe and Ents, Alou looks a lot better than Nico to me for about over $2,000 savings. Alou coming in at 0.75 kills per round, 0.60 deaths per round. If you look at him compared to Nico, sure, Nico maybe is slightly better, but he's a little bit more of the aggressive player. Alou uses the AWP, maybe not in as many gunfights, but when you get about that 2K difference, right, I think I'm going to prefer Alou to Nico. So yeah, I think Alou looks pretty good at that price point. I think he's probably about $500 to $1,000 too cheap, whereas Nico, you're probably $500 overpriced. So yeah, I do have interest in Alou. I think you can run players on both sides of this game if you want to, because again, I think Alou is slightly underpriced. The odds, again, people are going to look at the odds. He's going to go low owned, but I think he's a guy that does have upside at that price point. So I like him a good amount as a GPP play. Is he a cash game play? I think the price does make him viable in cash games, but I still don't know if I would pull the trigger for cash games. The other players on this team, so 7, the new addition, is probably a stay away. Sunny, Sergey, and Ariel. Sunny and Ariel both negative in the kill-death department the last 3 months, where Sergey slightly positive. You have Sergey at 6.4, Sunny at 5.8, and then Ariel at 5K. So I think the other two guys that I mentioned would be Sergey, again, because, positive KD at 6.4K looks decent, and then Ariel just because he's the cheapest. So that would probably be the guys who look to on the end side. Probably Alou, definitely my favorite play, and then Sergey and Ariel I think are viable punt options. Lastly, we have Liquid and 100 Thieves. So the odds in this one, a little bit closer, but Liquid minus 185 favorites. Now, I think the Liquid guys are going to be really popular in this one because if people do a little bit of research, right, they can see Liquid has absolutely dominated this series against 100 Thieves. 18-4. If you just look at these most recent games, I don't think Liquid's lost a map in these games against 100 Thieves. Yeah, they haven't really. On the games that they have up here, and you can go look at more historically, but Liquid has been dominant. So, both teams, the last 5 games, both of them, two of the last 5 were with 100 Thieves, have won the last 2. Yeah, again, both kind of limping in, I guess. But I think that the Liquid side is definitely going to be higher owned because they're favorites. They've done, obviously, better against, really good against 100 Thieves historically. So let's talk about the prices here. We have a Liege at 9K, NAF at 8.4. That's a close one. When you have a Liege and NAF about the same, I'm always going to go a Liege. When you have about, what, $1,000 difference or so, I'm giving the edge to NAF. A $600 difference that's really a coin flip for me. Again, when they're priced the same, I'm definitely going to go Liege, but I think they're both priced about right, so it's tricky. I think, again, both are very, very similar plays. Liege probably has a little bit more upside, but you got to pay $600 more. So both, again, I think are good plays, and it's almost a coin flip if you're going to make me pick between those two. A Liege, good numbers, right? 0.77, kills from 0.68 Despron. He has the upside to put up 90, 100 fancy points, kind of like a Nico, right? And then NAF also has good numbers, 0.72 and 0.63. As far as kills per on Despron. But the guy that stands out for me at his price is Twist. He always seems to be underpriced, 6.8K. That seems really too cheap for a guy that has positive KD, right? 0.69 kills on 0.63 Despron the last 3 months. Again, they've beat 100 Thieves every time they've played him recently, and they're favorites. And he's under 7K. So for that reason alone, I think Twist looks like a really good cash game play. A really good play in general. I think he's going to garner some ownership for sure at that price, but he stands out to me a lot on this liquid side. He's probably my favorite play if I wasn't going to go the liquid side. Stewie 2K and Nitro. Stewie 2K at 6.4, Nitro at 5.4. I think those are two guys that are okay, right? They don't really have the best numbers. Nitro, 0.58 kills per round, 0.68 deaths per round. Stewie 2K, 0.63 and 0.71. So I think I only look to those guys if you think 100 Thieves win 2-0, which is, I think, definitely possible because they've, again, really dominated this 100 Thieves team. And lastly, the 100 Thieves side. So, again, they've been, Liquid just seems to have their number, but is this the game where 100 Thieves bounces back and maybe they win? You never know, right? Again, I think no one's going to play these 100 Thieves guys, but if you look at the prices here, I like the prices in these guys a lot. They're only, plus 141 underdogs, not the biggest underdogs, so this is definitely possible. And they've been in relatively good form recently, right? They've won the last 2 games. JKS at 7.2 and Jakeem at 6.2 especially. Those two really stand out to me. Now, I think you can make an argument to play a Jakeem as a one-off. Maybe you still want to go liquid, but the price is so cheap on Jakeem that if this game stays close, I think he's definitely going to outperform that salary. Now, sure, if liquid wins 2-0, then probably won't get you there. But if this game is relatively close, goes 3 games, I think you could play players on both sides. Right, and Twist for his salary looks pretty good. Maybe go Twist and Jakeem, right? Maybe just go value in this game, and you just hope it stays close, right? Those two guys do stand out a good amount for their respective prices. But I also, again, do like JKS a good amount. He's the guy that has the most upside in this team. 0.74 kills per round, 0.60 deaths per round. Jakeem sitting at 0.7 and 0.68. Gratisfaction at 0.7 and 0.66. So those 3 pretty similar numbers, but I would probably rank them for their prices. Jakeem 1, JKS 2, Gratisfaction 3. Now, AZR and Elias, again, I know I talked about this a decent amount, but they've been in pretty good form too, and they've had games where they've been on the top of the leaderboard for this team. So another team that is a little bit more balanced, right? I would compare them kind of to NIP. So not saying AZR and Elias are out of play, but I would just if I was going to play someone at 100 Thieves, it would just be Jakeem for me, right? If you're looking at a cheap option, I would rather play him for $400 more than AZR. Rather play Jakeem over Elias for $600 more. So again, Jakeem is definitely one of my favorite plays there for his price on this slate. All right, let's talk about captains on this one, and let's talk about for cash games. So for cash games, again, if you guys are new to DFS, you don't care about ownership at all. You just want to play the optimal plays, so the best plays. So who do I think the best plays are on this slate? Well, I think a couple of those G2 guys, right? I know they're an inconsistent team, but the biggest saves for the day. So I think, probably considering, I think you can make an argument for any one of those 5, really, for cash games, right? You could even go Amanek in the captain spot and then maybe just jam in a bunch of those studs in. I think that's a viable build because what you're hoping for, again, is the 2-0 sweep. So I think almost anyone on the G2 side, I think, probably the 2 cheaper options in face of Brokey and Cold would be the guys to consider on phase for captain. I think you can still go Nico too, but again, you're going to have to overpay for maybe a little bit. And the end side, again, I still think a loot might be cash game viable. And then the liquid side is probably Twist, NAF, and Liege for me. I think you can still consider Jakeem because he's so cheap at 6.2. And the NIP Godsent side probably would be Knock for me. But, again, on the NIP side, you can make an argument for a lot of those guys because they are a little bit more of a balanced roster. So yeah, I think the popular approach tomorrow is going to be probably a couple guys from G2. I just think the favorites, right? So a couple guys from G2, maybe one guy from NIP, maybe one guy from FaZe, maybe a couple guys from Liquid, right? They're just going to go for the 4 favorites, right? So it's going to be NIP, G2, FaZe, Liquid. There's going to be a lot of ownership on those 4 teams because they are the 4 favorites. So what I like to do for GPPs is I like to play a lot of the chalk because chalk is chalk for a good reason, but I like to get different in one spot. So yeah, I'll probably still target at least a couple of these favorites, but I'm looking to get different in one spot. So maybe I take a shot and overpay on a guy like Farlick, right? That's a very risky option. Maybe I go one off an Alex, maybe a Lou, right? Or the 100 Thieves guys. What I'm leaning towards right now to get different is I'm looking at a Lou and probably those 100 Thieves guys, maybe as a one-off, or maybe I want to go the end stack, maybe I want to go the 100 Thieves stack, right? So that's kind of my mindset right now. Again, I haven't really messed around with roster construction too much, but that's probably how I'm going to get different on this slate. But yeah, I think that is going to do it for today's video, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, I'd really appreciate it if you could like this video. Again, subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell. Those things do really help me out to continue to grow this channel. Again, PGA, guys, I'll have a video up tomorrow, finishing up my spreadsheet right now, so be on the lookout for that. But thanks again. Hope you guys all have a good night, and I will see you in the next video.